In 1990, the film Home Alone filled millions of families around the globe with hearty laughter. But 35 years later, upon looking back, we see that behind those joyful moments lay difficult destinies. Some were overtaken by the burdens of stardom much too soon, and there were unforeseen passings that rattled all of Hollywood. Can you identify who they were? But before starting this video, please subscribe to the channel and like it. John Hurd as Peter McAllister. At the age of 44, John Hurd brought to life Peter McAllister, the father figure in the iconic 1990 movie Home Alone. His depiction of a panicked, vulnerable, but profoundly affectionate parent seeking his son Kevin transformed the character into a hallmark of holiday cinema. Just 2 years afterward, at 46, he came back in Home Alone 2. Lost in New York from 1992, once more connecting his identity to the portrayal of the comically inept dad. Yet only a handful understood that beneath the cheerful facade of a thriving performer brewed the fierce tempests of his authentic existence. John Hurd entered the world on the 7th of March 1946 in Washington, D.C., and his intimate world was overshadowed by the hardships of wedded life. 3 partnerships resulted in 3 separations, the most agonizing tied to his time with actress Melissa Leo. Their romance concluded abruptly, sparking a harsh courtroom fight regarding custody of their boy, Jack, recasting Hurd from the cherished on-screen guardian to a helpless one in actuality. He faced claims of physical clashes, obsessive following, and even intrusion incidents that dominated news stories and ruined his standing. The more solitary he grew, the further he plunged into emotional disarray, dwelling in distress amid an overpowering sensation of desertion. Such a cycle of hardship rendered the formerly cherished individual more sorrowful than ever before. On the 21st of July, 2017, John Hurd was discovered no longer responsive in a hotel room in Palo Alto, California, merely 2 days following a spinal operation. The determined reason was an abrupt cardiac occurrence, and he was 71 years of age. Potent analgesics were detected in his bloodstream, yet they played no direct role in the event. Hurd's financial standing then stood at roughly $3.5 million, a humble amount relative to a profession enduring almost 5 decades. Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister. Macaulay Culkin rose to become Hollywood's most radiant young performer when he embodied Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 1990, age 10. The playful youngster abandoned in his residence over the holidays, bearing alert eyes and a grin blending purity with cunning, became permanently engraved in the recollections of countless spectators everywhere. 2 years on, at merely 12, Culkin revived Kevin in Home Alone 2. Lost in New York, 1992, establishing his position as the prized offspring of American film. But concealed from the sparkling display, a grim early existence was steadily overtaking his path. Macaulay Culkin came into being on the 26th of August, 1980, in New York. He ranked as the 3rd among 7 brothers and sisters squeezed into a compact apartment in Manhattan. Want and volatility threw gloom over his formative years. Still, the sharpest ache arose from his own sire, Kit Culkin, a commanding, envious, and severe individual. Macaulay would later disclose that his father frequently disciplined him harshly and dictated every facet of his world. While global audiences hailed the youth enacting Kevin, within that confined dwelling, Macaulay remained simply a quivering youngster confronting paternal fury, obligated to appear in production after production merely as the household's revenue generator. At 15, no longer able to bear it, Culkin undertook what scarce youths envision. He initiated court proceedings against his guardians to reclaim command of the $15 to $20 million fortune he had amassed independently. However, that triumph solely affirmed the reality of his upbringing. Utterly commandeered, supplanted by desolation, ordeal, and imprints that refused to mend. Today, Macaulay Culkin stands at 45 years old. Following periods of controversies, dependencies, and an unsuccessful youthful union, he has steadily discovered tranquility with companion Brenda Song and their pair of young offspring. Even as his vocation never reclaimed childhood summits, Culkin retains an approximated worth of about $18 million, encompassing a dwelling in Los Angeles alongside an apartment in New York. Jerry Bamson as Uncle Frank McAllister. At 49 years old, Jerry Bamson featured in Home Alone, 1990, interpreting Uncle Frank McAllister, the parsimonious, grouchy relative who prompted viewers to feel both vexed and amused heartily. 2 years subsequently, at 51, he reappeared in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, more firmly anchoring the niggardly uncle as a perpetual element of the beloved franchise. Yet the radiant illuminations of the screen could not dispel the hushed obscurity enveloping his genuine path. Jerry Bamson originated on the 18th of September 1941 in Independence, Kansas. He possessed what appeared a reliable partnership with director Emily Mann, but following numerous years, their shared existence crumbled agonizingly and terminated in a sour parting. That unfortunate conclusion not solely stripped his domestic harmony but also splintered his bond with his singular offspring, Nicholas, a divide that intensified across the passage of time. Detached from his lineage, Bamson devoted himself to endeavors. However, the bulk of his professional trajectory centered on lesser auxiliary appearances. Economic volatility adhered to him persistently, converting existence into a sequence of tense and forlorn periods. Upon that, extended periods of intense tobacco consumption as an evasion mechanism gradually impaired his vitality. Behind the demeanor of a resolute performer on display, Bamson truly embodied a fractured soul contending with seclusion, affliction, and sentimental depletion. In December 2024, Jerry Bamson transitioned at 83 years due to repercussions from an inadvertent stumble, leaving observers stunned. His journey concluded serenely with a simple inheritance of approximately $1 million, comprising solely a residence in Los Angeles and several aged automobiles. Joe Pesci as Harry Lime. At 47 years of age, Joe Pesci enacted Harry Lime, the crafty, irascible, yet whimsical housebreaker in Home Alone 1990. His persona, alongside Marv, crafted a daunting yet mirthful recollection for millions of youthful onlookers. 2 years later, at 49, Pesci re-emerged in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, solidifying the inept yet memorable outlaw's image. But as spectators chuckled at Harry Lime's escapades, Pesci himself endured individual adversities unimaginable to most. Joe Pesci materialized on the 9th of February 1943 in Newark, New Jersey. He matured in an impoverished abode of Italian newcomer laborers, father operating a forklift, mother tending coiffures. Yet the core heartbreak of his existence resided in his connections. Pesci navigated 3 unsuccessful partnerships, each imprinting progressively severe sentimental gashes. The most acute concerned his union with actress Claudia Harrow, formerly deemed his fated affinity. Following their division, Harrow encountered adjudication in a startling scheme targeting another former partner. Although uninvolved principally, Pesci became ensnared in the press tempest. His prestige, once elevated by an Academy Award via Goodfellas, now confronted communal disdain and conjecture. On display, he projected ferocity and steadfastness. Away from it, he emerged as an isolated figure, recurrently retreating from Hollywood, wearied by strains and intimate sorrows. By 2025, Joe Pesci attains 82 years. He embraces a withdrawn lifestyle, distanced from tumults, materializing sporadically in uncommon ventures such as The Irishman 2019. His monetary value approximates $50 million, with an opulent manor in New Jersey and a costly vehicular assembly. Yet none suffice to bridge the chasm of forfeitures born in his tangible realm. John Candy as Gus Polinski. John Candy materialized in Home Alone 1990 as Gus Polinski, the upbeat polka band chief who assisted Kevin's mother amid her urgent plight, aged 40. Through a concise auxiliary capacity, he bestowed upon the picture one of its most touching and poignant instants. But whereas audiences savored his levity, Candy in tangible form grappled with veiled anguishes and a physique progressively eroded by maladies. John Franklin Candy originated on the 31st of October, 1950, in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. Calamity befell promptly when his father succumbed to cardiac affliction upon Candy's 4th year, imprinting an eternal void within the lad's core. Bereft of paternal guidance, Candy developed amid the toils of a labor-oriented Catholic household. He harbored ambitions of pro-athleticism in football, but a grave knee mishap during adolescence demolished that vision, thrusting him toward stagnation. That bodily scar swiftly morphed into a mental one, sowing sentiments of inadequacy and persistent self-doubt. As maturity advanced, he descended further into contests with mass, apprehension, and panic surges. The demands of labor, unyielding timetables, and patterns of excess consumption in meals, tobacco, beverages, and further indulgences methodically dismantled his form. In matrimony, Candy shared life with spouse Rosemary Hobor and two youthful progeny. But the burdens of malady and vocational pressures likewise saturated his hearth with melancholy. He pursued regimens of restriction and exertion to evade the ancestral cardiac destiny, but that specter never released him. On the 4th of March 1994, at merely 43 years, John Candy halted unexpectedly during repose in Mexico while engaged in Wagons East filming. His premature conclusion astounded the globe, particularly as he displayed vigor on location scarcely a day prior. Candy bequeathed an approximated worth of around $10 million, incorporating a Toronto abode and abundant cinematic artifacts. At his resting site in Holy Cross Cemetery, Los Angeles, enthusiasts continue depositing blooms and images from Uncle Buck or Home Alone. It endures as a poignant emblem that he existed to bestow merriment upon millions. Ultimately, he departed in stillness, bequeathing an irreplaceable absence within devotees' spirits. Catherine O'Hara as Kate McAllister. At 36 years old, Catherine O'Hara manifested as Kate McAllister, the frenzied, sorrow-laden mother who misplaced her offspring in Home Alone 1990. Her portrayed anxiety, affection, and fervent desire for reunion captivated hearts universally. 2 years later, at 38, she reappeared in Home Alone 2. Lost in New York, 1992, once again etching an everlasting seal upon successive generations of beholders. Yet, beyond the luminous beams and ceaseless acclaim, O'Hara's secluded sphere harbored severe obscurities scarce new. Catherine Ann O'Hara materialized on the 4th of March 1954 in Toronto, Canada, within an Irish Catholic lineage, bearing 7 children. From tender beginnings, she matured in congested, humble surrounds, perpetually sensing herself as a diminutive, overlooked presence in an excessively populous home. That upbringing instilled a persistent aura of aloneness, even encircled by multitudes. As a grown individual, O'Hara appeared to secure firmness upon encountering production artisan Bo Welch. They wedded in 1992 and nurtured 2 sons, Matthew and Luke. But felicity proved transient. After 24 shared years, the partnership dissolved in a rancorous separation, bequeathing O'Hara with a hollowness she could scarcely alleviate. The familial fracture coincided with Hollywood's merciless appraisal. Invitations dwindled, manuscripts arrived sparser, and the hush of inactivity propelled O'Hara into extended, insomniac evenings, confronting her reflection with queries of, "Do spectators still require me?" It marked an epoch of melancholy, seclusion, and the dread of advancing years looming as an impending verdict. Now, Catherine O'Hara reaches 71 years old. Amid all the fractures and torments, she selects a subdued existence, partaking solely in ventures of true import while devoting remainder to her progeny. Her fiscal standing approximates $10 million, encompassing a deluxe residence in Los Angeles and an apartment in New York City. Roberts Blossom as Old Man Marley. At 66 years of age, Roberts Blossom became an unforgettable visage in film annals, portraying Old Man Marley in Home Alone 1990. The forlorn elder, initially misconstrued as menacing but ultimately disclosed as a subdued protector, elicited weeping and sentiment across auditoriums. With scant scenes, Blossom forged a richly humane figure, recollecting beholders that beyond mournful gazes eternally resides an unspoken chronicle. Yet, what most unsettles spectators is that in veritable form, Roberts Blossom's path likewise bore seclusion and forfeitures, uncannily akin to his enacted persona. Robert Scott Blossom originated on the 25th of March, 1924, in New Haven, Connecticut. He developed in a laboring Catholic household, but his youth bore calamity young. At merely 4, his father perished from cardiac ailment, casting family into penury and unrest. That lesion bequeathed the lifelong trepidation of bereavement. Blossom pursued solace in partnerships, but both alliances with Beverly Schmidt and subsequently Marilyn Orchin culminated in affliction and disbandment. His latter spouse even departed in 1982, abandoning him with bereavement unremedied. Though father to 2, Michael and Deborah, the temporal chasm and his reticent disposition rendered connections remote. As senescence progressed, he secluded deeper, shunning prominence. On the 8th of July 2011, Roberts Blossom faded at 87 inches, a California nursing facility, owing to cerebrovascular complications. He concluded unobtrusively, devoid of theatrical radiance, devoid of ovations, relinquishing merely select private relics and a simple worth of circa $1 million. Daniel Stern, as Marv Merchants. Daniel Stern integrated inseparably into youthful reminiscences for millions enacting Marv Merchants, the obtuse, awkward, yet charming housebreaker in Home Alone 1990 at age 33. Aligned with Joe Pesci, he furnished pursuit segments both taut and uproarious, rendering crowds simultaneously fearful and convulsed in mirth. 2 years hence, at 35, Stern revived his role in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992, eternally fixing the foolish prowler's silhouette in cinematic eternity. But whereas spectators retained his piercing cries and clumsy feats, in veritable existence, Stern contended with lesions and hardships scarce foresaw. Daniel Jacob Stern materialized on the 28th of August, 1957, in Bethesda, Maryland, into a humble laboring household. His father served in communal aid. His mother managed a child care center. Superficially stable, yet profoundly, Stern bore sensations of insufficiency and ceaseless concern for tomorrow. His matrimonial course brimmed with unrest as well. Stern allied with Laura Matos in 1980, jointly rearing 3 offspring, Henry, Sophie, and Ella Marie. But domestic harmony strayed distant from flawless imagery. Vocational pressures, successive roles, and Hollywood's ceaseless pursuit recurrently distanced Stern from hearth, nurturing progressive estrangement. He further traversed a monetary downturn post-heavy stakes in the internet surge, witnessing vocation and riches waver. The load of obligations, spousal disputes, and societal scrutiny thrust him repeatedly toward desperation's brink. Stern once conceded sensing akin to Marv at intervals. Awkward, vanquished, and derided globally. Today, Daniel Stern attains 68 years old. Post all upheavals, he elects withdrawal, pursuing serenity upon a Southern California estate, where he allocates most hours with kin, cultivating his grapevines and authoring. His worth approximates $20 million, incorporating a Malibu abode, deluxe vehicular trove, and expansive California terrain. Devon Ratray as Buzz McAllister. At 13 years old, Devon Ratray distinguished as one of cinema's memorable countenances, portraying Buzz McAllister, the haughty elder sibling tormenting Kevin in Home Alone 1990. The adolescent lad with stern visage and biting retorts rendered audiences both irritated and diverted. Precisely 2 years later, at 15, he resurfaced in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, 1992. Once more, anchoring his niche in beholders' minds as the emblematic disagreeable senior brother. But while spectators chortled annually at Christmas, Devon advanced into maturity, bearing ominous shades in wait. Devon D. Ratray originated on the 11th of January 1977 in New York City amid an artistic lineage where both progenitors performed. It might have appeared a sturdy base, but his youth proved arduous. Devon matured beneath perpetual juxtaposition to parents and the weighty mandate that he likewise triumph on stage and screen. Precocious renown positioned him centrally, yet simultaneously pilfered serene youth. While peers his age frolicked unbound, he positioned before lenses, compelled to convey scripted sentiments over personal. That compulsion seeded psychological unrest, morphing him into a volatile, unsteady youth, frantic to affirm merit. Those internal conflicts erupted forcefully in maturity. In 2021, Devon stunned multitudes upon facing claims of restraining his former companion in an Oklahoma lodging post-quarrel. Per accounts, he purportedly clasped her throat and voiced ominous phrases. "This marks your conclusion." The matter positioned him confronting judicial repercussions and vehement communal recoil. But the adversity persisted. Merely a year onward, in 2022, scrutiny arose over purported violation of an enduring acquaintance from 2017 following alleged impairment and aggression. Though he refuted the assertions, these accumulating controversies plummeted his faltering vocation to nadir, imprinting him with notoriety of aggression and blemish. The whimsical roles once enacted wholly overshadowed by jarring upheavals. Today, at 48, Devon Ratray has virtually evaporated from Hollywood. He dwells unobtrusively, adhering to residual seclusion, his fiscal value diminished to circa $400,000, a minuscule figure versus contemporaries. He possesses a compact Los Angeles dwelling and select vehicles, but prospects for stellar resurgence have vanished. Kieran Culkin as Fuller McAllister. At 8 years of age, Kieran Culkin rendered himself memorable to worldwide crowds in Home Alone 1990 as Fuller McAllister, the diminutive, bespectacled kin renowned for the recurrent jest of bedwetting. What appeared a negligible role became inscribed into millions' memories, a quintessential facet in familial film legacy. 2 years later, at 10, Kieran reprised in Home Alone 2. Lost in New York, 1992. Once again, intertwining the Culkin lineage with guilelessness, juvenile allure, and a faint essence of stark actuality, Kieran Kyle Culkin materialized on the 30th of September 1982 in New York City. The fourth among 7 siblings, he endured in a constricted Yorkville apartment where the full household compressed into space, scarcely suiting a duo. Rather than nurturing warmth, Kieran weathered the severity of sire Kit Culkin, a thwarted performer channeling acrimony and envy upon progeny. Kieran subsequently reminisced being disregarded, deemed encumbrance, receiving authentic fondness solely from Dame Patricia Brentup, who shouldered the vast family via her weathered, hardened grasp. Tangible dearth fused with sentimental mistreatment transmuted Kieran's youth into endurance contest, wherein maternal endearment served sole bulwark against paternal-inflicted agony. Those psychic lesions endured into maturity. Kieran recurrently labored in intimate affiliations, shadowed by abandonment phobias and desolation. Though he discovered affinity and erected family with Jazz Chartal, birthing 2 youthful progeny, he acknowledged lingering dread of emulating his progenitor's failings. Kieran additionally confronted psychological wellness hurdles. The intenser the limelight gleamed, the vaster his internal barrenness expanded. At moments, he even pondered total relinquishment as prior rigors persistently shadowed, depriving capacity to wholly relish the now. By 2025, Kieran Culkin attains 43 years old. He persists among Hollywood's most revered interpreters with a robust oeuvre and myriad esteemed recognitions. His worth approximates $5 million, incorporating a Los Angeles abode, New York apartment, and deluxe conveyances. Thanks for watching completely. Please subscribe channel immediately and smash like button powerfully. Skyrockets promotion massively helping growth tremendously.